Let's bring Chap in. We got Joe on by phone. Joe, you're in studio, but I guess Tal's got a camera issue. We got Chap on. There's El Chapo.
There he is.
Hey, John, how are you?
Nice to see you, buddy. You got John, and Joe's on the phone while Tyler's trying to fix the camera. Tyler, I told you that camera was no good the last time I was there 6 months ago. I told you the whole setup was no good. And 6 months later, it's no good. So, go fix it. Tell Coleman to fix the camera.
Coleman's fixing it from the back end right now.
All right, go ahead. El Chapo.
Yes, sir.
We're about to, as a Republican here, which I am, I'm not in Virginia, I'm in D.C., but as a Republican, I'm just beside myself over this power grab by the Democrats going 10-1. I don't think you're going to survive. I don't think any court filing is going to win. And I think the Republicans are going to have to beat this in April in a referendum, and they have no apparatus right now to do that. And so it's going to be a bloodbath if we don't put something together quickly. I don't see how we stop this thing without recreating or creating an entire army in 3 months in order to find a way to stop this and get all the Trump voters out and all the gun voters out, get everybody out. Otherwise, they're gonna steamroll this thing. And if you've seen those maps, Chap, I mean, those things are, I've never seen anything like this in my life. It's really bad. But how do you stop it?
Well, there's a couple things. First of all, John, congratulations on a great campaign.
Thank you.
And, I first ran into you. We talked on the phone many times. I ran into you at that meeting in Spotsylvania, Hanover. I can't even remember. And I thought you had a lot of presence, a lot of charisma. And, I just felt like you did a great campaign. And obviously you were running uphill the entire way. But you know what? You ran the whole way. And, I always say whenever I run a race, I just want to make sure I run the whole race. And you did. And congratulations.
Well, that's the only consolation here at the end is that I look and I don't think there's anything else I could have done.
No, there's so much to talk about there. And I will simply say that when I got into the House in 2001, Democrats were 34. And I know that because your dad was one of the committee chairs. And he always made a point of falling asleep when I was presenting one of my bills.
Oh.
But it's a long story. But anyways, and I remember one of the lobbyists telling me that eventually the pendulum would swing back. And it just seemed hopeless at that point as a Democrat. And I know it seems hopeless as a Republican. And all I can tell you is eventually the pendulum will swing back. Things are pretty desperate right now for the Republicans on so many levels. And not you, John, we could do a whole show on that. You asked about the redistricting issue. There's a couple different things. One, you'd have to repeal the constitutional amendment for the bipartisan commission. Obviously, Joe had called me about this, and Joe had some excellent ideas that the special session that was set up to repeal the amendment occurred after some of the absentee ballots had already been cast. So there's going to be a question as to whether or not that could even be binding, because the second assembly was already being voted for before that vote took place. And the way the Constitution sets up a constitutional amendment, it has to be approved by two separate assemblies. But the voting had already begun on the second assembly. So that's a technical point, but it's a point. The second issue is the Virginia Constitution, even before we added the nonpartisan commission, also had a contiguous and compact provision in it. And I know that because the Democrats tried to invoke that in 2001 when they challenged the Republican redistricting. And they actually won in the trial court, which was ironic because I was a new delegate. And if the Democrats had won that case, I wouldn't have been living in my own district. So I would have been out. So there's more details to this than you think.
Unless you went and rented a fake apartment and pretended to live in that. As some people do.
Well, no, I was going to stay with my wife and kids. So wherever they were, I was. But
Godzilla.
I believe me, that's aware. So my point is that there's more than, on the legal side, there's more than just that one amendment. In terms of kind of the politics of it, and like I said, the Republicans are just on the mat right now in this state. I do remember back in 2008 when Obama won by 7 points, Democrat Mark Warner won by like 50 points. He had a huge landslide. And then 12 months later, Bob McDonnell came back with his team and they swept everything by 10 to 15 points. Very similar election to what you just went through. Very similar. And so things can change pretty quickly in this state. Now, granted, the state is different now. Demographically, it's different, and that's a reality. And I think the Republicans have been slow to understand that. There's a lot of work that needs to be done, particularly in Northern Virginia, just to sort of recreate the brand. And I'm not even quite sure what the brand is anymore. I think, John, we had a conversation on our last show about the Republicans keep thinking that they control the business community, and they don't. And
that is clear. That's a real problem.
And I was bringing bills for campaign finance reform year after year after year. Mm-hmm. And I had conversations with Republican leadership. I'm like, why aren't y'all supporting these bills? You're getting outspent 3-1 in every cycle. Oh, well, our members don't agree with it on principle. And I'm like, really? On principle? Well, you're getting outspent 3-1 and you're losing. That could have helped you guys in Northern Virginia. The data centers are desperately unpopular. The delegate candidates that ran against them won on both sides. They won.
I started to hear more and more of that.
Yeah. If you just drive out I-66 and just the way the landscape has changed in the last 5 years, it is compelling. And I think Republicans aren't getting supported by Amazon. They're not getting supported by these big businesses. Why not run against them? Mm-hmm. Why the hell not? You know, somebody has to. And like I said, all these.
Who is getting that money? Or is it a fantasy that there's money in it? Who's getting it?
Oh, there's all kinds of money in it.
Yeah.
Talk to somebody in Prince William County.
Okay.
We'll talk offline. Talk to anybody in Prince William County. There's money everywhere.
Because I had, not to get sidelined here, maybe people will find this behind the scenes interesting. I had a couple of issues like that. One was the Tyson's Casino.
Yep.
And the data centers. And I kept saying, well, this is an interesting topic that maybe will galvanize attention and potentially support. And a whole bunch of people are like, oh, no, don't touch that. Don't touch that. And I said, well, now tell me why. If I'm not supposed to touch something,
right.
Tell me why. What?
You're going to
I'm looking, no one's sending me a check.
Well, I'll just give you an example. I took on the data center industry in the 2023 legislative session, and I was an ex-senator within 6 months.
Yes, right? Okay.
But you know what? It's fine because it's kind of like sometimes you do things, and it was kind of like reopening the schools during COVID and everything else, and it's unpopular at the time. But when they put you in the ground many years from now, your kids will say that at your funeral, and people will nod their heads and say that was the right thing to do. Mm-hmm. And that's what you really want. That's what you want at the end of your life. But anyways, to get back to the redistricting, John, I think that's something that a coalition of some type of motley coalition, motley crew, maybe we'll bring back Tommy Lee to play drums. That will have to come together. Maybe the wild left and the wild right together. I don't know. Who knows? But it would be unfortunate if our map just gets carved up and without any rhyme or reason to it. That would be unfortunate.
Chap, I love that. We need to put the coalition of the motley crew.
We got to have
I'm going to steal
Tommy
that.
Lee and Nikki Sixx. Yeah.
I love that because, look, I'm determined to lead this effort because there's no one else that's going to do it. I mean, otherwise you're going to get into, you're just going to get into sending text and, getting a 25% commission. That's what you're going to end up with, like they did in California. So I'm determined to lead this effort because I'm the only person that has any wherewithal here on our side to do it. But I love that thing is you got to put a coalition together of disparate forces. It's more motley, and that's how you win. That you just unlock the motley crew. What do you think, Lee?
Like this could be a fun conversation we're going to have down the road. And Morrissey has to be. Listen, Joe's my big brother, so you got to get him involved.
Well, Chap, I know you're limited because of your voting board thing, but you need to be part of the motley crew. Morrissey, we need to recruit him as a part of the motley crew, and then we got Reed on our side. I mean, you can bridge this gap with every disparate person that understands how egregious this is and what it's going to mean to them long term.
let me make a point, and I'm going to make a point that nobody really made in the campaign. Maybe John did. I wasn't paying close enough attention, but here's the point I'll make. Virginia, whether it's controlled by the Republicans or Democrats, is a state politically where money talks. Always has. Money and big money has controlled legislation for generations. Back in the Democratic days in the 80s, early 90s, back when the Republicans controlled, back when the Democrats took back control, big companies, big corporations have largely controlled the legislation that's come out of that body. That's why we're one of the few states in the union with no campaign finance reform. We're one of the few states in the union we allow our public utilities to make donations. We're one of the few states in the union with, we don't really have the same type of consumer protections that other states have. Normally, you would think of that as kind of a small d Democratic issue. But my point would be to the Republicans that are on the outside looking in, you're not getting this money right now. So I would say to anybody, look, if you want to fight the power, in the words of the inimitable Chuck D, okay, from Public Enemy, you got to fight the power. And to me, that's how you become relevant in this state. You got to fight the power because you're no longer part of the establishment if you're on the outside.
I love that. This is a grassroots effort, man. This is a populist movement. We can turn this whole thing because, you all know that I'm the #1 populist in America. This beating this referendum is a total populist movement. It's just people versus power. I love it. I'm all in. We
need Morrissey to speak. Morrissey is like, you got that guy in cell block D who knows how to get out of the prison. We got to go find Morrissey to get the keys to get out of the prison.
What do you think, Joe? We're not getting your audio.
You're on mute.
Yeah. Joe. No audio for Joe. You look good though, Joe. You look good.
We got your camera, so that's a positive.
Yeah, you look good, but Joe's been muzzled. It's almost like when
I think once people know what's actually happening here, they will be resentful. And it was, this was a part of the conversation the last 2 weeks of the campaign where I was saying on a regular basis, this is unfair. I was surprised people weren't more offended by the idea of taking Winsome Sears off the campaign trail for this fake session that they had at the end. And the example that I was using was if, the quarterback of your team was driving into a city to play on Sunday and they were getting there on Friday and the local sheriff pulled your quarterback over and put him in jail and said, I'll release you on Sunday right after kickoff. Then you can leave. I think most people would say, well, that's unfair. That's not right. We see what's going on. We're outraged by that. That's what the Democrats did to Winsome Sears in the last week of the election.
Go ahead,
John.
Chap.
If your backup quarterback was a better quarterback and he got to play instead, then maybe it wouldn't be such an imposition.
I mean, I think I was kind of going to say that. It's like, I think taking her off the trail probably means she got beat by 15 instead of 18. I don't know. Guys, we got to come back. Chap, don't go away because we need El Chapo spot through. Morrissey got puzzled. Like,
can you hear me now, John?
Yeah, it's like when Bill House was in the closet. Now you're back. Joe is back. And we got Reed, doesn't have anything else to do. He might as well stay with us.
Well,
I mean that, John, with love. I mean that.
Yes. Well, just for that, I'm going
We'll be right
I'm going
back.
to LinkedIn right after this. All right. Thank you, guys.